Thanks for clicking on the link. My name's Andrew and I work at a company called Action Your Potential. And this video is all about a special program we've put together for the whole of 2020 to 2021. It's for primary schools, secondary schools or sixth form colleges. It's all about learning. It's called Learning NeuroNinja, and we're just going to talk you through the product. You're busy people, so you don't need to be reading loads of information. There is information in the description if you want to have a look in a bit more detail. Oh yes, I just wanted to mention one final point. This program has been built with full knowledge of the situation in schools at the moment. We've had a year of disrupted schooling. It's going to be complicated in the autumn and the winter, and there isn't a lot of operational capacity in schools. You're managing a huge level of intensity. So we are trying to focus our effort very much on students and parents. It won't mop up massive amounts of staff time, but it is powerful and efficacious in terms of supporting students to develop a different approach to their study. In the midst of this crisis, there is an opportunity to teach students with passion, with inspirational input, the opportunity to learn as they go and work with their brain to learn in the way the brain learns best. So it's called Learning NeuroNinja, and the big selling point for the students is it's all about learning more but studying less, working with our incredible brains, learning as we go. And there are two strands to this. We're focusing on the whole community. That can be a year group, that could be a couple of year groups. If it's a small school, it could be the whole school. And also we're working closely with a group of vulnerable students as well. It's a unique intervention. So being a learning NeuroNinja means developing daily habits and systems that maximize the brain's natural learning memory and retention systems. So if we work with our brains, we can accelerate the speed with which we absorb new information and how we connect that new information with existing information in our heads. All our work is built on mentalizing and metacognition. The human brain is unique. It is able to put itself at the focus of its own contemplations. So by using mentalizing, understanding our thoughts and feelings and developing and responding differently, particularly when there are mistakes. And you'll all know about metacognition, the power of metacognition in terms of reflecting on learning and thinking. So we've taken all of that stuff and we've turned it into a ready-made system for students to use. It's for students to help them understand how to get the best out of their learning brain, and it also reaches directly out to parents. We always include parents because 85% of a child's life is spent at home, and supporting parents who generally want to do the best by their children but sometimes don't know exactly what to do. And let's face it, if you're working with older students, year 5, year 6, all the way through to teenagers, you may not get the best quality information from your child when they come home from school. So it's about supporting parents to know what to do. And this is all based on lots of evidence that's been gathered and analysed by the Education Endowment Fund around metacognitive strategies, which has a plus 7 months impact in terms of supporting students developing their progress and their learning. Throughout our programs, we're focusing on 3 strands: well-being, mind management, and unleashing learning. And here we're focusing very much on unleashing learning. So it runs wide, this program, across the whole school community. For 30 weeks, students will receive short videos in school introducing new learning behaviours and the systems that support them. They're then, at the end of every video, given a challenge to build the skills into their study slots, and each skill connects and builds with others. Those videos also contain some support and advice for parents in terms of how they can support their child when they're working on that particular video. So there's a different video for each week, and they're delivered in school, either in tutor time, mentor time, or assemblies. So there are 2 basic modes for this intervention. It works wide across the whole school community, and it works in a very focused and bespoke way for about 30 or 40 identified vulnerable students. It works wide across the community because it includes information for parents and carers as well. Every video ends with a hint, tip, or advice for parents to be able to support their sons or daughters at home. It runs wide across the whole community using these 10 leaps of learning broken down into steps. Every leap is explained, and students learn incrementally how to build each of those skills into their self-directed study slot. And it dives deep with an invited group of between 30 and 40 vulnerable students and families. You decide which ones we're going to work with. They can be across different year groups. There's bespoke web-based coaching with those families using Google Meet, Zoom or Microsoft Teams, whatever system that you prefer, to identify barriers to learning and design deliberate practice sessions to transform progress. So there's an initial consultation where we explore the barriers to learning, and then there's a bespoke program with key milestones for every child and agreed weekly nudges and ongoing feedback to help them imbibe these new strategies into their day and support them in terms of their learning. We also use behavioural economics nudge theory to build in stickability around these habit changes. So those nudges support the students, support the parents, and create a community, a whole cultural shift across the organisation, where we're saying to young people, learn with the grain of your brain, learn in the way that your brain learns, learn to unleash its incredible potential. We also work to engage the whole community, to create this cultural shift, to enable every student to understand that there's a different way of organising their study, learn as you go. And in order to support that cultural shift, we're going to talk to the students and the parents about that. And there's going to be podcasts. Parents and teachers and students will be asked questions about key learning and well-being habits that they're implementing as a result of the different aspects of the program. And those interviews will be conducted weekly, and there'll be podcasts at least twice a term to create that ongoing conversation about learning and well-being and supporting the development of the skills we look at across the whole program. There'll be web-based workshops with bookable slots for students and parents and carers to have their questions answered and to receive additional advice. So what are you waiting for? Don't just take our word for it. We've worked with over 100 different institutions at the moment, primary schools, secondary schools, sixth form colleges. Everything we do is linked to well-being, is linked to how to manage stress, is linked to how to support the brain to grow and respond to what we call desirable difficulties. We want all the young people to know that they've got everything they'll ever need at the top of their necks. We just need to help them get it to work properly for them. So it's called Learning NeuroNinja. We're already working in 15 schools with it this year. We've got space for 5 more schools. We'd love you to be one of them. Look forward to hearing from you. And finally, let's talk about pricing. So if you're a secondary school or a sixth form college, the base price is £7,000. So that includes the broad work with the whole school community and that close work with 30 to 40 vulnerable students. You could say it's about £3,500 each for each bit of it, so you could break it down again if you wanted to. It's about £100 on the kind of close-in stuff, in terms of £100 per child in terms of that support over 6 months. So that's an incredibly affordable rate. And then if you're a primary school, the base price is about £2,000. So in that model, we're working with about 10 of your vulnerable families. So there's the pricing, that's the detail. We've got 5 more spaces for this innovative program for this year, and all the schools that work with us come back, and the reason they come back is because we're working in a genuinely collaborative way. This is a collaboration, we're working together, and you always get more than you pay for.